Ever since I was like 13 years old, all I really wanted to do was get married. And that's a pretty funny thing to think about, but it's true. I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to find my person. So all of my energy, attention, all that I was working for, really, it wasn't to become super successful or a big, entrepreneur or something like that, or, have a big ministry or anything. It was like, I just want to do what I can to provide for my wife so I can get married. And that's what I want to do. I want to meet that person. Here's the deal. Some of us, and especially me at that point and throughout my teen years and for a while in my 20s, I was not ready to be in a relationship. There are some really good reasons to stay single. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you just a few that would have applied to me back then and might apply to you now. This isn't to discourage you, but it's rather to encourage you to say, hey, look, if you're hungering for marriage or a relationship, like that's a good desire. I don't want to squinch that in you, but I want to say, hey, like there might be some work to do. And if you say, hey, for this season, I'm just not ready, that's a freeing thing. That's a good thing. That's such a nice thing that you're going to the young adults events and you're not trying to look for a wife, or you're going to whatever, you're going to Bible camp and you're not constantly being like, could this person be my wife or this person be my wife? Because you're like, I know there's a particular reason right now, maybe a few, that I should stay single. So here are just a few. You have little direction. Here's the thing. I've known many guys that have gotten married that have really not had a lot of direction in their life. Okay. And they end out fine. Like it's okay, but they go through a lot of struggle. They go through a lot of pain because if you don't have direction, especially within your career or things like that, certain things just become harder. It becomes harder to provide. It becomes harder to guide your family in a literal location and just in general, because you're like, I don't know where I'm going personally. So how am I supposed to lead my family in any direction? There's an element to it that you figure out your direction when you get married and as a family, right? Okay, where do we want to go collectively? Da 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 da. But as the husband, and you want to have something in you that's like, this is where I'm going, right? Are you going to ministry? Are you going into the business sector? Are you going, into the trades? Like, what are you doing? What is your plan? You don't have to have it all done. Like, I'm not saying you need to have reached the destination, but is there some sort of plan and direction in place? Is there a vision? Now, for me, I dropped out of university after 1 year. And at that point, I was like, I was really wanting to get in a relationship. I was like, man, like I'm seeing all these people, especially in the homeschool circle that I was in, they're getting married at 19, 20. But here I was in my parents' basement. I basically had no job. I had dropped out of university and I didn't really have direction. I thought maybe I could do something on YouTube or I could start some business or something like that, but there was no vision there. Would that have been a good idea for me to get in a relationship? Well, some people would say, oh, Isaac, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, I think you're being too deep with it. Relationships, you could be dating for a long time too, so you can figure it out then. And I know that's some people's path, but to me, it was so crucial for me to be locked in to say, okay, I'm going to block out the world and I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to see where does God want me to be, and I'm going to try out a lot of different things, and then I'm going to hone in and grind for a little bit to say, to kind of establish that path. Okay, that's what really was a game changer for me, and that's why I want to share that with you. The next thing is you're not emotionally ready. You're not emotionally ready. Have you taken the time to know yourself? Like truly know yourself. Now, obviously, there's an exploration process that happens even within a relationship where you get to know yourself even more. And I'm going to make another video about that, how dating and being in a relationship with my wife changed me and exposed so many things in me and about me that I was just not really aware of. That being said, even when I was single, there were many times where I was having to be introspective and learn from my own insecurities and my own mistakes and figure out my own triggers. Because look, when you are in a relationship, that person and just circumstances are going to trigger you. They're going to bring up some insecurities within you. They're going to hit you in a particular way based on particular wounds of your life. You want to kind of begin to be aware of some of those things as best you can. So even now, like whether that's going to therapy, going to a counselor, or getting particular books that help you explore more of yourself and who you are and how you're made up, what your attachment style is, a lot of these things are going to be helpful for you, okay? And if you have not done any of that exploration yet, might be a good reason to stay single. Okay. Next thing is you're not financially ready. Now, a lot of people harp on this too much. Okay. And especially in our economy, it can be really discouraging because maybe there's some lofty expectations in the Christian community too. Oh, you got to be financially set up. Your job's got to be stable. You got to be, able to provide. And that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Here's my mindset, okay? Especially when I was a single guy, okay? I wanted to get to a certain level. So there was a certain number that I was looking for in terms of what I was making a month that I felt like, okay, I can support myself and I can support a wife. Because I don't want to go into a relationship, okay, a dating relationship and say, hey, I really love you and I want to get married to you, but honestly, I just can't. And maybe it's going to be a few years before we can, but we'll just date. The thing is, temptation comes up, right? You really like each other. You're physically attracted to one another. Temptation is hard. And if you're saying we can't get married at all, then there's no way for that sexual energy to be released. That's just the truth. And so there's a lot of tension there. And that brings temptation. And I just don't think that's a good place for you to put yourself in if you're saying, I just can't, right? I just can't. Now, some people, they get married and then they're really financially struggling for a long time. Often puts a lot of pressure on the wife to say, the wife, you need to, pick up on your job and you need to start doing more in order to help provide for our family. That's just not a place that you want to put in your wife into. You don't want to put your wife into that position where she feels the burden of having to provide for your family as well. So I know it's tough in this economy. My mindset, especially for young guys that say, okay, I want to be financially ready. What do I do? Especially as like young ladies, you're looking for a husband. Does he have a vision? Does he have a vision for where he's going? Talking about direction, but also a plan in how he's going to make money. We live in a culture where that's important, but it's not everything. It's not about being rich. It's not about being well off. It's about being responsible and stewarding what you have and your time. Are you working hard? Look, if you're working hard, like I'm telling you this right now, if you're watching this video and you feel like, okay, I'm not there yet, but I'm working hard, good job. I'm proud of you. Like, that's a great step. Keep working hard. Keep forming that vision of where you're going, and it will come. It will. I remember being like I said, in my parents' basement, being like, I don't know if I could ever move out. Like I get YouTube AdSense, make about $50 a month off that. And, I have a little job, a custodial worker, and make a couple $100. Like, I don't have anything to show for. But in time, like, it will happen if you're continuing to put the effort and the work in, okay? But maybe it's just not time, right? It's not saying never, and it's not saying it's not going to come together, but it's just not time. Do you have any addictions? So many guys will say, if only, I see this in YouTube comment sections all the time. If only I had a wife, then I wouldn't be addicted to pornography. I wouldn't be, looking at the stuff online because I would have an outlet that I could get and get the sexual release, get this, and that I need. Here's the thing, is that you need to take a good long look at your own sexual consumption habits even now, because even now you're not satisfied with one person. Even now you're looking at one video of one person, and then you go to another video of another person to get you off, and another video of another person, and another video of another person. Why is this? Because you have a wandering heart, because you're unsatisfied, because you're using these images, these videos to quench some insecurity in your own heart, some wound of your past, some desire that you want to fulfill. Here's the thing, is that if you can't be satisfied with one now, why do you think you could be satisfied with one later? Here's the thing. Your brain needs to be retrained. It needs to be rewired. I have a lot of videos about this that I think will be able to help you. So I just want you to scan my channel here and find one for you. But here's what I want to offer you. And this has been helpful for a lot of men, help them break free from pornography. It's a service called Covenant Eyes. And what this does, it sends a monthly report. And maybe there's a few variations to this, but it sends a report to a friend that you choose, okay, that can be your accountability partner. And this report includes just your internet usage. So it's to keep accountability, to say, hey, friend, what were you looking at here? And as you're tempted, you're saying, okay, well, I want to look up this website, but I'm not going to because I know that my friend's going to look at the report and he's going to ask me about this. And I don't want to have to deal with that. And even just that accountability is going to help you. So link in my bio for 30 days free on this. You'll want to sign up. One of the biggest hurdles for me was that I heard this sermon by Vodi Bakum, who I love. It was about what he must be at 13 years old. What this did to me at that point, even though it included a lot of good information and I love Vodi Bakum, what this did to me was it put, honestly, a lot of unrealistic expectations on my head. I listened to what he said, but I was like, I want to go far and beyond. I need to be, in a sense, the perfect man. I need to be wealthy. I need to be successful. I need to be put together. I need to have direction. I need to be secure. I need to be all these things before I meet my wife. And that set me on a path of not only guilt and shame as I wasn't able to meet those expectations, but just anxiety. And here's the thing, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. So if you have this expectation that, okay, I'm going to get here, I'm going to do this, before I meet the person, I just think that's not the way that you want to look at it, okay? You're doing all these things because you want to be in this place for your wife. Okay, let's talk about God for a second. When have you been so motivated to be like, okay, I'm gonna, serve God. I'm gonna work on my spiritual life because I love God so much, because I want to be with God. You don't think about that. You don't think about that because you are super motivated to do these things because you want to be with a wife. You want to have that connection. Here's the thing. I think we began with our relationship with God to say, okay, God, evaluate my heart. I'm really motivated to do all this stuff because I want a wife, because I want a relationship. Why am I not that motivated to do this stuff for you, to change my life, to work on my heart, to work on my internal, to cut out, these addictions? Why not? And the truth is that, we love ourselves and we love what we think a partner will do for us a lot more than we love God. That's the truth. That's the hard truth. And so until we're ready to say, okay, you know what? I'm not doing this just for my partner. Even it will be a blessing to them later on if I'm working on these things, if I have direction, if I'm emotionally ready, if I'm financially ready, if I don't have addictions, like all this kind of thing. But I'm doing these things because I love God first and foremost. He's my primary. He's my number one. And that's where you need to be, okay? And that's what I had to get to, because for so long I was doing this for my future spouse. I got to do this for them and do this for myself. But maybe my first priority should be, I'm going to do this for God. I'm going to do this for God. And that's where being spiritually ready comes in, right? Are you spiritually ready? Like, evaluate your heart. How is your walk with God? Is it pretty on and off? Like, is that the case? And if so, like, don't just get it in check. Like I said, don't just get in check because you want to be with a woman. Here's the thing. I was mentoring this one guy, and he was constantly saying, he was like, I would have this off period, and then he would get back on to God when he had a crush on a girl, because he was like, I got to get my life together. And so I'm going to start reading the Bible every day. I'm going to start doing Bible study. I'm just going to start leading in church and serving in church and do all these things. But then that would kind of fizzle out, and then he'd have another dip. Right. And there was just kind of this pattern, right? And you understand the motivation there. It's always about the girl. It's always about the girl. But maybe it should be about God. Maybe it should be. Okay. This is where we got to evaluate our heart. Another obvious reason to stay single is that you don't have the desire. I don't want you guys to feel the pressure that you need to get in a relationship if you feel like you don't want to. Like, legit. If you don't want to, I don't care how old you are. I don't care what space of life you're in. Here's the thing. If you're using online, like, pornography as a substitute that seems to be, satisfying your sexual desire, and that's quenching your desire to find a woman, that's a problem. That's a problem, because now you're substituting. You're using a substitute, and you're like, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm not even interested in, in finding a woman right now, but yet you're watching pornography. That's a problem. But if the case is that actually you're just not interested, you're in a good place, and like, that's okay. You don't need to feel like, oh man, everyone's else getting married. This is what I'm supposed to do. No, the Bible's clear. Like, it is way better. It is easier to serve the Lord as a single man, as a single person. So enjoy that. So take advantage of that. Like, that's awesome. That's cool. The last thing is, there are no quality options around you. And by quality, I don't mean what people call like high value women. Like a lot of people would throw around this term high value women. I'm going to make a video about this, but this is not the kind of mindset that you want to have. Okay. It is not about somebody's past. It is not about somebody's past. What it is where are they now, and what is their vision, and what is what direction are they going in the future? Okay. Here's the deal. We have all sinned. We've all fall short of the glory of God. You don't want just a nominal Christian that maybe has been a good Christian kid their whole life, and yet they've really never known God. But yet you look at the person that maybe has had a past, but they see God and they understand what God wants of them, and they put their faith in God, and they're pursuing God and what He wants for them. Like, that's the kind of person that you want. That's the kind of direction that you want. And so when we talk about quality, it's not about necessarily judging that person, because look, we all have faults, but it's about identifying the values and the characteristics that you would like in a spouse. And then also looking back on yourself to say, do I meet those qualifications as well? It's a good place for self-examination. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to support what I'm doing here, then click on the link in my bio and join Patreon today. You get a free copy of my book. Let me pull it. Here it is. A Letter to My Father, What Your Son Wants to Tell You But Doesn't. Whether you're a son or a father, you're going to be able to benefit from this book. And I'm going to send it to you free if you're in North America, if you sign up to Patreon today as my gift to you. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep pursuing the mission.